You're listening to Be Radiant Radio. You are made of light and you are made to shine. Positive, uplifting, and helpful. Welcome to the show where you'll get informational and inspirational ideas on how to unleash your potential, get what you want in life, and shine like you're meant to.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Angela Loeb. Thanks for tuning in for today's program, You Onstage. I'm excited to say that I am joined by special guest Delilah Blake of the Curiosity School in Theater. Our topic is about how to bring out the performer in you. Apparently, we all have an inner performer that we can tap into. And we're going to talk about how to really, truly connect with other people so you can enhance your personal and professional life. So get ready for some great practical tips on dealing with stage fright, overcoming shyness, increasing your confidence in general. All right, so before we get started, let me give you a little background about Delilah Blake, our guest today. First, her official bio. I'll just read her official professional bio, which says, as an entrepreneur combining business and theater, Delilah ran her own for-profit theaters and performance teams for over 20 years in Houston, Texas, and Times Square, New York City. At the Curiosity School, she's created a unique blend of tools from the worlds of coaching and theater to develop leadership, presentation, sales, and communication skills for both individuals and organizations. Her lighthearted and practical approach has helped people from a wide variety of arenas to explore new perspectives on peak performance. Along with being a founder, coach, and trainer at the Curiosity School, she also produces, directs, and facilitates creating original sketch and musical comedies with course participants of all ages. Now, I want to share something about Delilah that she wrote. It's her answer to a question I asked her, one that I ask all my guests, actually. I write a question for them to answer, and the question is, are there any particular personal influence or challenges that you'd like to share with or inspire our listeners? Now, Delilah's response was, quote, as a child, I didn't understand what people were talking about. It seemed like they were talking at each other and not really connecting. As an adult, I was lost and unable to access my authentic self. Over 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. After surgery and chemo, I realized I needed to make some big changes in my life. I began to be curious about all the pieces of my puzzle and my particular way of looking at the world. Then putting that together with my own business, being on the playing field can be tough. You can get knocked down a lot, but it's also the most exciting way to live, end quote. Amen. And way cool. Delilah, I love that. Thank you so much for that inspiring train of thought. And thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. I mean, I've been doing public speaking for some time now, but never, seen an approach like you have. And I have to say, I don't think you would have ever got me on a stage. When I was in college and I had changed my major to communications for one entire semester before I decided forget that. I had to do a public speaking class, and that just totally changed my mind. I said, nope, I'm not going to be a public speaker, but the universe has a funny way of laughing at us, doesn't it?
Right.
So I just really am excited about the topic because it hits home for me. A lot of people are surprised when I say I'm an introvert. And I don't. I mean, okay, getting up there on the stage, but at first, it's like. So I really want to let's get started by getting into the heart of this topic, and the making the connection part, because I really think that's so cool that you work really hard to get people to not only come out of their shell, but and I think you put it once to me, like come out from behind the potted plant and make the connection with people, right? So what do you think people can do to really connect with each other?
Well, I really think the most important thing is curiosity, and that's why we call our company the Curiosity School in Theater, because real curiosity, I think it's a art that has gotten lost as we become adults, because we start thinking we know something, or we've been told no so often that we've kind of shut down our curiosity. And it's like little kids, that kind of curiosity is what I'm interested in, because they don't have an agenda or a lot of judgments. They're just curious about everything. And to me, that is the most important element in really connecting with other people.
So showing and expressing a curiosity about someone else without an agenda is what you mean?
Yes.
So
because
if I'm if I'm meeting someone for the first time and I'm curious about who they are, what they do, it's like not what's in it for me kind of thing. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think that we meet somebody and sometimes we have an immediate opinion about them, which may have nothing to do with who they really are, but maybe they remind you of somebody, or they just ping something in you. And if you can drop that, because that is what shuts down curiosity, and so therefore that's what shuts down the connection. So if you're following someone's, for example, if you're not so much listening to their words, but you're just really watching when their vitality goes up and down, and you're responding to that and asking them questions and following them down that road, I promise they will notice something different about you. And people just are not used to getting that kind of attention as adults. It's the kind of attention we give babies and little kids. But if you give an adult that kind of attention, it's unusual, and it starts perking them up, and it starts lighting the fire of their curiosity. And then you kind of get out of that 2D world, and people aren't used to being really seen and really heard, and then it just starts waking them up, and then it's really fun, because then it starts being like an electric current between the two of you.
Okay. So I think that makes sense. I see what you're saying now. So it's not so much about any agenda that you might have as much as judgments or first impressions you have that are just based on what you already think about the world and the worldview. But if you put that aside and you go with a sense of curiosity and really open your mind, then maybe you'll tune in better to their cues. I love the thing you said about their vitality going up. What do you mean by that? When you mean you see a sense of their vitality increasing?
Well, when you talk to somebody, if you're paying attention, they will give you all kinds of information and clues as to what they really want to do or what they really want to say. And you know how sometimes people will say, oh, yes, I really love my job, but they have no joy or their eyes don't light up, and there's just
don't really love their job.
Right. And then and if you just go, oh, okay, they really love their job, and then you go on, you're not curious. But if you go, really, I wonder what else you would like to do, and then and they go, well, I've really always wanted to, and then it creates this whole other universe of an opening that you both step into, and there's the connection.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, because I think that we do that a lot, right? We meet somebody for the first time, we're getting to know them a little bit, the inevitable question comes up, what do you do? And then they have to say something about what they do for a living.
Right.
And some of them are really kind of confused by that question. I know, because as a career consultant, I am working with people all the time on answering that question. But, yeah, I hear what you're saying. That makes sense. So, all right. So let's talk about then I know the main heart of the topic today is about stage fright and shyness, and of course, I guess all of that's tied into making those connections. So you have some tips for us, right? You came prepared with some tips, I understand. So I want some tips.
Some tips? Well, I'm also an introvert who just happens to be a performer. It's been very confusing sometimes in my life.
Well, like you said, everyone has
shy.
an inner performer, right? You said we have an inner performer, so that's
everyone. Because if you watch most little kids, if it doesn't matter who else is in the room, they'll sing, they'll dance, they'll be out in the middle of the room with no self-consciousness. That's our natural state. We sing, we dance, we tell stories, we laugh at our own jokes when we're little. And somehow that usually gets shut down by well-meaning friends, family, schools, society. And so, as adults, we have to reawaken that, and that's why I think play is so important. So I think that one of the main things that's helped me get over stage fright is not to take myself too seriously. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, "Happy are those who can laugh at themselves. They will never cease to be amused." That's kind of my big mantra. And for stage fright, it's I think just to remember that people are people. The people in the room that you're going in to face, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you did. And just to remember that most audiences they want you to do well, because if you don't do well, they feel uncomfortable. And so they're on your side if you think about that. There's lots of things to do with your breath. There's lots of breathing exercises that are very helpful, both as you're preparing to speak and right before you go on to make a presentation, because people tend to hold their breath when they're nervous, and then this actually tightens up your body and makes you more nervous,
Right.
So how you breathe is for grounding, for calming. As in meditation, you breathe to get presence, and so it's the same thing with that. Another important thing is to get your voice in your body, because most people talk from up here in their throat, and that also actually creates more nervousness because, if you're speaking, from your body, it's actually more calming and grounding, and it's actually more powerful. You feel more powerful when your voice is in your body. And there are lots of exercises to help with that. Again, with your voice, you want to project your voice into the room. And this is very powerful. This can make you feel more powerful, like you're connecting with people that way. And it's also a service to people to project your voice like that. So they can hear you. And I would say that I've had to really learn this because I have a naturally soft voice, except when I'm singing opera. but
I know you told me that one time. You sing opera. Yeah. I thought that was amazing. Yes, finally in my life I know an opera singer.
Yes, but
so you project your voice into the room. When you say projecting, this is different than, say, yelling, because we can yell, right? That's not the same thing.
You're not yelling. You're projecting into the room with your energy. And that also is very grounding. And, again, the more powerful you can feel, in what you're doing, that actually helps you get through stage fright. Of course, be prepared and practice. And remember, I think that what's helped me a lot is to remember the message I'm there to give. What is the thing that I'm there to share? And put my attention on this service that I'm offering people. Then it kind of takes the attention off moi. It's that I found that to be extremely helpful. Yeah. Another one, should I keep going?
Yeah, keep going. Tell me some more.
Another one is it's okay to be nervous. Like if you feel nervous, don't try to not be nervous, because that, anytime you deny something that you're actually feeling, it just makes it worse. So it's almost like you have to relax into the nervousness and go, yeah, right, I'm a little, freaked out, or I don't feel so chill about this, whatever words you would have. And just, that's okay. Lots of very famous actors, Oscar-winning, Tony-winning actors and actresses are nervous before they go on stage or before they step onto the movie set. So it's okay if I feel a little nervous. And just, be nice to yourself about it and breathe and relax into it. And if you don't fight it, you just acknowledge it and go into it, somehow that dissipates it more than thinking there's something wrong with you because you're nervous or you shouldn't be nervous.
Right, right. Now, I have a question for you. Now, these things that you've suggested, and I've been taking notes. I always take notes. So, breathing exercises, which are grounding and calming, put the voice in your body, not in your throat, I guess, or out. Projecting your voice into the room, which is also, you said, very grounding. Be prepared to practice. Remember the service that you're providing by the message you're giving, and then it's okay to be nervous and don't, lean into it, relax into it. All of those are great tips, I agree, for getting ready to get up there to be on the stage, present, that sort of thing. But it sounds like these would also be useful if you're feeling shy, just going into, a networking meeting or something where you're going to meet people that you've never met before.
Yes, I think that's a good point. I had a sort of a breakthrough moment some years ago, because being shy, my idea of hell was a cocktail party or a networking event. And I did feel like I always was the one hiding behind the fern. And one day I just got so tired of that, being miserable and uncomfortable, that I literally went up to everybody and I said, I really hate networking events. I never know what to talk about. And 100% of the people said to me, me too. And then we started really talking, for real, on a deep level. And many of those people came up to me after the meeting and said, thank you, this is the most fun I've ever had at a networking event. And I just did that out of desperation one night, and it actually changed my life. Because not that you're going to do that every time, but it's just acknowledging what's going on. And you will find that then lots of people feel that way, and you feel like the weirdo, but when you acknowledge that, lots of people feel that same way. And I've seen that on stage many times. I saw a stand-up comedian. I was living in New York after 9/11, and she said something that was very offensive, actually. And the whole audience turned on her, and she never acknowledged what happened and just very painfully went on with her set. The next week, I saw a stand-up comedian who did something the audience didn't like, and they turned on him. But he said, oh, I lost you, didn't I? That I went over too far over a line. And then so we were all like, okay, he noticed. And then so he got us back simply by acknowledging what was going on. And that also, I've had everything happen. I've forgotten my lines. I've started crying during a presentation. I've done everything. But if I just go to say to the audience, okay, we're okay, right? You're with me. It's fine.
Yeah. You return back into the human space here. It's not like we're supposed to be better than human. It's just we're human, and so that totally makes sense. Now, great. Thank you for that. And now, if we talked about public speaking, presentations, that kind of thing. Is there anything ahead of time that you might suggest? I mean, because there's some good tips here about, voice in your body, projecting your voice, that kind of stuff. But before you go up there, anything very tangible that you could suggest people do, to get ready? Oh,
there's lots of warm-ups you can do.
Well, just give us at least one. One really. What's your favorite one?
Well, I like to go in the bathroom and sound like a chicken.
Oh my gosh, seriously? Okay.
It's just something silly to get your, realize that this is not, life or death in a way. I mean, I always like to go to the big picture of life and death in the universe, and this is just something this little person is doing today. It kind of takes the
I love it.
The self-importance out of it, Other things you can do are
go ahead.
I would look out at the audience, and do not try to play to the cranky person in the corner. I've made that mistake of I'm going to get them, No, find the happiest, brightest, looking person and play to them and you get that current going with them, and the rest of the audience can come with you then. So it's nice to kind of like tune in to the audience that you're, or whoever you're presenting to. I'm a big fan of taking an improv class. There's some sort of acting class, because you learn to bring out the best in other people. Then they're bringing the best out in you. You learn to be spontaneous. You learn to make a fool of yourself. You learn to fail and laugh about it. And all of those things are kind of like, in Karate Kid with the wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
You think you're just playing these games, but then when you get up there to make a presentation, there's something that got into you from that.
Now, see, that's a perfect segue, because I had a question for you. See, I know a lot of people go and do, like, what's the speakers program where you can go, Toastmasters. I know a lot of people do Toastmasters. But I'm really curious about... Yeah, so I was thinking about how I know you do theater games, and I know you have like different shows that you do, mostly comedies. And so how does that help? I mean, tell us about what the theater games do and the work that you do to help people be better at sales and, be a team leader. I know you help a lot with the corporate side of things, not just, shyness.
Mm-hmm. Well, for example, one of the games that we play is called Yes and this is where, and I do this both in my public class and I do it with companies, and this is where you cannot say, well, I don't like that idea. Everyone's free to say whatever their idea is, and you just go, yes, and. So, and even if you don't think it's a good idea, you still say yes, and something gets created there that's really fun. And then you have created this environment where people's ideas are accepted, and then you start realizing how often you are not working or living in an environment of that. And you realize how you shut each other down. And that starts becoming a very powerful and actually usable skill in people's lives. I think teamwork happens there. And you use it with your kids, with your partner, with your coworker, because we start to think that we know who people are. And when you don't think you know who they are and they start surprising you and you are becoming a team and not a personal relationship, it brings vitality into the relationship.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It kind of reminds me when you talked about the yes and game, that kind of reminds me of that television show, Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Right.
Where
they
do a lot
play
of
a version
improv.
of that on there.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. And
all right.
also, just like spontaneity, this is work a lot with sales teams, and they learn to listen in a different way. And they learn how to make someone's day when they call. So maybe that person isn't going to buy for them or it's not right for them. You can still make their day. Why?
Yeah.
Because that ends up making your day better, too.
And I think what you're doing is such a great service because you're bringing this to all walks of life. People at a personal level, people can use it in their family groups. They can use it in their work teams. It just sounds like you're catching, like, everybody, all aspects of a person's life and helping them with this. So what a cool calling. Yeah, you sound like you do.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is such a fast half hour. I can't believe how fast a half hour goes. So
I love what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing for people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your coming on, Delilah. And that takes us to the end of the program. But before I go, I want to thank Delilah Blake of the Curiosity School for being my awesome guest today. Thanks so much, Delilah. I appreciate you. And it was fun doing this. I'm going to send out also a special thanks to all of you out there. I appreciate you, and I hope you'll find and connect with me on social media. Check out the links at AngelaLoeb.com. That's ANGELALOEB.com. And until next time, please keep shining like you're meant to, and y'all take good care.